Then I'm gonna look like crap. I just cuss within a couple of seconds, but we're not monetized. So if y'all can see my eyes, should be a reflection of what's going on. No, that's not medicinal marijuana. I wish I had some. That's called fatigue, people. The word of today is fatigue. 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 That's the word today. So, but the show must go on. Red eyes and all. The show must go on, but still legend. I guess so. I hope y'all like my Austin hat, which we'll talk about later on. I got a wrestling field podcast for today. Just because, again, NFL hasn't started yet. Um, I mean, shouts out to Boo. Asia Wilson scored 50, tied the record. Wish she would have broke that record because Ozzy Coon got the record, you know, for 50 points. So wish she would have got 51. Blame Becky, Hall of Famer Becky for that one. Real name Becky, not kayfabe Becky. Real name Becky, Hammond, Hall of Famer, coach of the Aces. So shouts out to Asia. I see you, Boo. I love you. Um, Baseball, oh Tony, the $500 million man soon to be, more than likely. Chanel Tony is out with an ACL. Feel like that's kayfabe. Everything is wrestling. It's kayfabe in that. It's almost his time to go. You can tell the writing's on the wall. He's been saying he's been having injuries for about 2 months or so now. So the writing is on the wall. Let me get this out of frame. That is not my stuff, people. That is better. Who cares? Doesn't look professional anyway. But again, I'll be in the studio as soon as I can afford to pay it. Life stuff has to get paid for it first. So if you want to see better quality, do that. It'll wait. So I'll start to really work on the views getting up and marketing right now. Just want to be consistent with something coming out. Kind of gotten annoyed a little bit just now too, thinking about stuff. Anyhow, that's just me. When I fatigue, I just get annoyed very easy. Yeah. So wrestling field, the sport that never ends at all, even after life. So the timing of everything. Ironically, I was going to record a couple hours ago. Then the news broke. Still kind of crazy. My mind is fuzzy because I've been up early. And I was trying to figure out how to make this damn Steam Deck work. Finally got it. Shouts out to my guy if you listen to this that sent me his because he is now more hardcore PC based gaming. So he's like, hey, I don't have this here. So I'm blessed. But now I need an SD card or a way for external memory. I need that. Still trying to figure out how to work the emulators. Like I did one game for Super Nintendo just to try to make it work and can't figure it out. So yeah. But regardless, we are here. It's not near me. It's over by the couch. I'm not going to pick it up. But old Steamy is here. Need some games now. So yeah, need an SD card. I don't know if you can. More than likely, you can install games on internal or external on the SD card. Regardless, I do have 1 TB if I want to get real nerdy. External hard drive, but that thing, that's really I need some type of thing for it. Thingy USB-C to something because it's USB-C. So still got a long ways to go, but the biggest thing is out the way that I have it in my possession. Need certain accessories in order to play it. I have no games. So send me y'all Steam account if y'all got it. Let me use your Steam account. Let me play some games. I don't have that much space. I'll figure it out. Anyhow, so yeah. A couple hours ago, I was going to record. Just being consistent as always. Getting out of the episode because it's only right. I hope you heard first 4 minutes. I had the gimmick rigged wrong. Anyhow, so hopefully you can hear me. But nonetheless, Yeah, I was going to record a couple hours ago. Sat on my ass a little bit, even though I had a busy day. And I was just like, yeah, let me take a load off. Pause. Um, is that a pause if it's myself? Nah, just phrasing. That's a phrasing. I took a load off and I doubled down on the load. Might triple down if I watch some flicks later. But nonetheless, I was getting ready to record. So I'm going to talk about wrestling mostly just because, you know, that's all that's going on right now. And then I decided to, just chill. Looked in one of my group chats and they said you heard the news about one Bray Wyatt. And immediately when you hear something about the news, it's catastrophic. It's nobody says you heard the news, like they got a new baby, like hooray. Oh, they got a raise. Oh, they got, because I would think it was probably, oh, he's getting released again. Crazy. I thought he'd be getting released again. It happened before. I thought he'd get released. We haven't seen him in months. It was a report. Maybe the dirt sheets are right about this one, and it's too premature to really talk about it right now. But it was some reports earlier this year about his health. So maybe the dirt sheets did get this right. And then we get until today, and, unfortunately, Bray Wyatt has passed away. Which is crazy to say now. Like, I'm reading it, and it still hasn't registered just because it's like, damn. And maybe it's just because the past 3 years have been so insane with so much stuff. Like, I think I talk about often how people forgot, and I had a conversation with somebody earlier about how people forgot already that virus killed millions of people across the world. People are still getting sick from it. But, to then just say, all right, it's done, we outside, it's kind of crazy. So, yeah, that news broke, and it's like, damn. They said something about his sickness, and then I think a month or so ago, they said he might be coming back, but he was dealing with some sickness, and there we go, man. So, I won't stay too long on talking about it just because I don't like to be the bearer of bad news or anything. Like, when I have to then issue a statement for somebody's death, I just say they died. I don't really go deep into it, like, prayers and stuff like that, but I'm not going to sit here and just really think about it because life goes on. And that's unfortunate. The man has 3-4 kids, has a wife, ex-wife. Kind of disheartening. Considering that Luke Harper passed away 3 years ago, almost in December, too. So, yeah, man, that's two members of the Wyatt family. You got Eric Rowan, which is, it's tough for him. I know he's going through it. Like, damn, dude, I lost 2 of my friends in the past 3 years. But, life, man. That's all I can really say. Counter it with the great Funkster, who's one of my favorite workers of all time. He passed away yesterday as of this recording at 79. It just gives you a perspective of legacy. I feel like I talked about it before, some aspect. I don't really get into the whole legacy conversation about legends and all this. I've been called a legend by people that have known me for years. I've been called multiple things, so I don't give a fuck about none of it. I can cuss now. I don't care. You can call me a prick. You can call me ass, cunt, whatever. I don't care. I don't pay attention to good and bad in life. I just pay attention to this, which is going straight ahead. So I don't have time to think about people's perception of me because it's 20,000 different perceptions of me from different, sexes or whatever the case may be. But I like the fact that I will say, and I hate talking about myself, I am of either you love me or you hate me. It's no in between. So that's great for me. And I love that. Like, I don't never have to worry about do people love me or hate me. Despite the fact that at times people more so criticize the work instead of listening. Like, did you listen? You worry about everything else. More so the visual of me. Find you weird. I would say a slur, but can't. But I don't know how I got to that point. I just, you think about legacy. You got two, it intertwines with what I'm saying as far as legacy. You got two guys. Though one had a longer career, has been NWA champion, if I'm not mistaken, or it was Dory. Worked different promotions. Everybody knows him from the ECW guy, Chainsaw Charlie, and WWF. They know him as the hardcore legend, being Terry Funk. He was on the broader spectrum of that. The Funk brothers are legends in their own right. Then you got Terry. And then go to Bray Wyatt, who in, I won't say such a short time span, but a 10-year or so time span, somebody has made himself, whether you like his work rate or not, one of those characters that you always remember. So maybe legacy is just doing what you can while you're here. That's what it is, and do it the best that you can to be remembered forever. I don't know. I'm not of the agreeance of I want to be known forever. I don't care. And I'm not trying to be morbid right now. Trust me, I'm going to get to the topics at hand. It's only about two wrestling related, unless I think it's something else. But I will say, the whole ideal of forever being remembered is probably just ego-based, because why? I feel like if you've done what you're supposed to do with whoever you've done it with, they'll remember you, and that's all that matters in the end, not the audience, because human beings can be very fickle. They don't know what they want. They don't know what they want until you give it to them. Everybody has an iPhone. Imagine if iPhone never existed. We all have Droids, so then how can you then criticize somebody for having a Droid? It goes with PlayStation, Xbox. It goes with everything in general. It's a yin and yang with everything in life. If you didn't have this, how would you know you needed that? But it all correlates with each other. So, yeah. Again, love to both families. The wrestling world lost people back to back. It's kind of crazy, I don't think about the age factor when it comes to, life, just because your mission could be done at 2 years old. Again, I'm trying not to be morbid. I'm going to get us out of here, trust me. But you do what you can, man, while you're here. It's work, too. Nothing beats work. You hear that often. Like, I'm not going to hold y'all. I despise people that take vacations. Be it that I'm about to take my first one in years in November. The flight isn't booked, but I'm going, I guess, as the women say, speak it to existence. I will be in Tokyo come November. And then from then on, I plan on traveling, especially when you hear stuff like this. And then what's happened in the past 3 years, you just, oh, okay, yeah, I definitely plan on doing this travel thing. Let me see the world while I can, because everything is based on memories. But then you think as you get older, what if you lose those memories? Well, you had them for the time that you had them. And that's like, hey, man, not a fair game. Not a fair game indeed, but we're all here, so do it while you can. I will say, I'll talk about them a little bit more. Like the Terry Funk matches, I can go back and watch those from the 70s, 80s. Now, even when he could barely walk, like at ECW One Night Stand in 2006, which was probably his very last match, still had it, man. Still had it. What the hell? He still had it. Barely could walk, still had it. Him and Mick Foley are a difference of age, probably by like 20 years. And unfortunately, Mick is one of my goats, but he walks just like Terry Funk now. So, and then Bray, more so the gimmick. I'm not going to sit up here and, act like I'm the biggest fan of his work. It's the same thing as Kobe. Like, God bless Kobe. Ironically, as of this recording, this Mama's Day. His birthday was yesterday, which is the 23rd, when Terry Funk passed, and now Mamba Day today, and Bray Wyatt is, passed. It's kind of crazy. So with those two, I'm not going to act like I was the biggest fan, but I respected the work. More so with Bray, it was just like, yeah, I respect you trying to create these new characters and these new ideas. The Firefly Funhouse, I might have to go back and watch it. I've been meaning to watch it, so now it's kind of crazy, but yeah, man. Future Hall of Famer, Terry Funk already Hall of Famer. Shouts out to both of them. Shouts out to their family. Love to their families, and Do it while you still can, kids. So the Firefly Funhouse, what I just talked about. One John Cena, who was probably my GOAT, was in that match. You know. So last week, I think it was just one of those, Twitter topics. People are just bored. Cut one person from 4. I don't know why they don't do 5, but 4. So it was like, all right. And the names were John Cena, Roman Reigns, Stone Cold The Rock. So like the usual suspects. As I'm going to call them, if it pops up, well, damn. Oh, it's up there. That's cool. So let's do it like that. Been doing this for years and still trying to get it right. Nah, let's do that for editing purposes because I do got to get clips out. I haven't done clips in a while, but getting close to feet. Anyhow, so with those 4 names, it came up about the context of who do you cut. Now, I've had conversations with Vinny. Shouts out to Vinny from Wrestle Rap and Eyeball about this. Shouts out to everybody in the Gaza Strip that might be listening to this, all 2 of y'all, about this conversation. The hell? I don't trust it. Yeah, so I've had this conversation before. Shaky cam. What the fuck? Y'all got to forgive me, too. I keep saying I'm going to get technology, but hey, man, it costs. Everything costs nowadays, bro. We in the end time for real. Everything costs. LA is having hurricanes and earthquakes at the same time. Everything costs. So bear with me. Bear with me, baby. No. So going back, you got these 4 guys who are considered the pillars, as I would say. The 4 pillars of draw is what we going with. Conversation I had with Vinny was, in fact, and I won't, just in case we had this conversation, I will say I disagreed with the person he said he would cut, but that's me in general with everybody and everything. I'm never in agreement of, sorry, I'm telling y'all. I'm not in agreement with most people about anything. I like to say 90%, 98% of the time, I'm not in agreement with anybody about anything. Just because I could be, a jackass at times, and because I feel like I don't always have to agree. I'm not a big opinionated person, but I have my thoughts about life. We all see life in different perspectives. Mine is a bit minute compared to, the mediums or the people in general. And that's absolutely fine. I don't feel like we all have to agree about anything because what you eat don't make me shit. You see that hat? It's old school. And it's an old school thinking. Courtesy of good old US of A. I love this hat too. And the gym. Shouts out to Legends Gym. I haven't been there in months, but by far my favorite gym ever. I need to find a gym just like that. It's worth all the money. They should be paying me for this, but they not. So I will say that the name Vinny mentioned, it's like, all right. And I understood where he was coming from. But I brought to the Discord, or it was brought to the Discord about this conversation. And the name that everybody were in agreement of was then Stone Cold Steve Austin. So everybody has agreed. Cena, Roman Reigns, which I'll get to, and I'll break all of this down, which should be the majority of the show. Those 2 names, you put them aside. So the other 2 names, people beg to differ, but more so the people I know. Because I'm not on Twitter, I have no idea what people were agreeing of. I'm pretty sure people said Cena and Roman Reigns. You can't. You just show the past 20 years and then the numbers speak for themselves. More so than the other 2 who drew for probably 3 years. Now, it's an obscure number that they drew in 3 years, and it's crazy to say that somebody can have a Hall of Fame career within 3 years, but that's what happened. More so Stone Cold, it was more than 3 years. But from being the Hollywood Blondes with Brian Pillman in WCW to then having his last match in '03. If you look at 96, 97, when he had the match with Brett, he was on the upcline. But I will say there was also 316 shirts and selling, which I'll get to as well, as far as the merch and what I say makes you a draw. So, I hate that my shirt is ashy. I hate my shirt is like wrinkled. I said ashy, wrinkled, same thing. I don't give a damn. Look at me. Look at me. Don't look at the shirt. So, and I gotta put the camera closer. So I will say this is like Blair Witch. I hate that this looks like this, but again, I can't do. Y'all bear with me. That's all I can really say. I give a disclaimer because I hate stuff that looks like this. If you see my stuff over the past 3 years, is way more professional. This is what I got right now until I can get in the studio. So, P.ardon the Banks versus Davis will be in the studio in the future, but these episodes will have to do till now. So, you really don't care. If you listening, you listening. You don't care. If you got YouTube Premium, you don't have to, look at it. I digress. If that's that fucking fly, dude, I'm about to lose my mind. So going back to those people we said are a draw. Me and others were in agreement of Stone Cold. If you go by their prime, of these names, Stone Cold, I think from 97 to 2001, it's like, all right. He drew more than anybody at that point. I think even over Hulk Hogan. But The Rock drew probably, it wasn't a probably. It was definitely 1B, number 2, as far as draws at that time. What I mean by draw. So let's do this. We're doing merch. We're doing seats. Who's selling the seat? Because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Pro wrestling is a business. People need to recognize that. So if we look at all those aspects, there you go. They did that. They drew more than Hulk Hogan at that point. Or somewhere around it. No, definitely more than Hulk Hogan. Now, Hulk sold a lot of merch. So that's maybe something I need to look into. But I feel like Stone Cold and The Rock were up there, especially Stone Cold. If somebody said Hulk Hogan was still the highest selling merch, had the highest selling merch in wrestling history still, I'd be like, yeah. But I feel like it should be Stone Cold instead. So with Stone Cold, let's go to the promos. Yes, we know he is a great promoist. I don't even know if that's an actual title or a word. We knew he was a great promo. The Rock, and somebody said, the stuff he used to say was like a little cartoonish. But dude, nobody can tell me what a Rudy Poo is to this day. But it's fire. Like, what's a Rudy Poo? Like, we know what a candy ass is, kind of. Pause. But what's a Rudy Poo? Poo and Tang Pot. Like, the stuff he would say was so comical. It's like, I said he's like the Ghostface Killer of promos. It's like, yo, what is he talking about? But you know where he's talking about. Or camera. It's like, yo, what is he talking about? But we know you're going somewhere. And that's The Rock. So I think I'll go and watch his promos on YouTube just to laugh. Like with Stone Cold, you hear his promos just to be like, all right, you ready to tear some shit up. I prefer to laugh, man. And they called him a bionic redneck for a reason. It's like, yeah, I don't know if I'm supposed to care about these promos. So with these two, I'm leaving it between these two because they're top 5 at this point, because these other two names have draw a lot of money, probably more than them at this point. Maybe more so less than Stone Cold. But now, they're from the internet era. That's why it's always I sold albums during the hard copy era. You sold albums during the digital era conversation. The Rock and Stone Cold did that. They sold albums during the we have to sell hard copies or else we won't eat era. We got to go make the shows. We got to go touch the people. That's what it is. I think that's why The Rock is so personable. Probably just because he's a good dude from what I heard and seen, but because you had to. Like, especially when you champion. When you was champion, you had to go do champion things. You had to work. The championship mean more. And maybe I sound more old school now, but the championship, and I mean John Cena is really dope too. It's not the Barry reigns, but that's what it is. But back when you had to be a champion in the '90s, you had to go to do the radio shows in the morning. Probably barely slept. You got to go work out. You got to do radio. You got to show up early. You have to do all the stuff that they ask the champions to do because you're the biggest draw, number one, and then number two, you're making the most money at a time where you can't make money in a different avenue. Most wrestlers didn't think about making money in different avenues, so they tried to get over by any means. Hulk Hogan was just greedy, just to go back and, that cracker, just to talk about him. He was just greedy. He was doing multiple TV shows, multiple movies, but still wanted his spot. Egomaniac. So, in the case of these other two, the most personable champions we've seen far as them being around the people. Tweeners, more so Stone Cold just became the anti-hero, so to speak. He was like the Punisher. Like, we should hate this dude, and that's what he was originally supposed to be, was a heel, so the babyface, and then he became a babyface because of the people. Same thing was with The Rock. The Rock was a heel when he was at the Nation of Domination. Slowly became the babyface. He would say, "No, no, no, don't say that." Everybody repeating him. If you smell, no, 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 don't say that. Like, even in that, like, dude, it's hard for me to say we got to get rid of The Rock. Dude was having people. He'll say when he first started that, and people would say something. No, 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 don't repeat The Rock. Like, dude, it's compilations of this stuff. Like, small integral details he would do. Somebody tried to argue me about, not argue, but we had a conversation about the people's elbow. Dumb move, yes. But hey, man, everybody has the Achilles heel. He was a decent worker, pretty good worker. Was he more technically sound than Stone Cold? No. But did you want that from The Rock? No. He worked the sports entertainment style, the pro wrestling style, because his pops was Rocky Johnson, grandfather Peter Maivia, even though I haven't seen tape of his working style. And he learned from Pat Patterson, one of the most brilliant minds in pro wrestling history. So he would have to learn that style by default, and he never went through the territorial system like everybody else in that day. For the most part, everybody went through the territorial system. He never had that, but still came out good. Still came out a good worker. So you gotta give him that. And I mean, he's 11-time champion. So I can't get rid of The Rock. I mean, the numbers show there, but the other thing I said is this dude might be the biggest draw in pro wrestling history because everything he's done outside of pro wrestling has overshadowed his iconic career in pro wrestling. Future Hall of Famer, one of the greatest of all time, one of the top 10 greatest workers of all time. Again, going back to what I just said about his working style, yeah, cool, good, as compared to everybody else that you put above him, except for Cena, and probably Roman Reigns. But dude, when your movies are the highest grossing movies of all time, yes, this does include something relating to wrestling because his name is Dwayne Johnson, but we know him as The Rock. Does he get these roles? Does he get this shot in Hollywood and just run the ball like fucking Walter Payton or Eric Dickerson, as far as like rushing yards in history? If he wasn't in pro wrestling, I don't think so. Because nobody knew. Because you didn't have the internet. Like, let's say The Rock was just doing these promos on the streets and trying to get an acting that way, or doing stand-up comedy. Yes, it would definitely work. Then he wouldn't have to wrestle. But that's before the internet. So you had to go from this to that, and it worked out. If he was weak, would he still get a chance in Hollywood? I'm pretty sure. And that's the other thing I said. And I'll get to the other cheat code guy later. Women loved him, men loved whoever found The Rock attractive. You're going to draw by that. If women who love you see you, they will pay money. It's called the stripping business. It doesn't just relate to women. It relates to men strippers as well. You got to draw the money. So he had the cheat code. He can work. He had a look to him. He was in shape, which was the look as well. He can talk. You're going to be a star. If you have all those attributes, there's no chance you could fail. You can cut a promo. You're something to look at. You can work. Even mildly, you can work. You're good. Sky's the limit. And obviously, if he's been multiple-time champion, he wasn't lazy. Because after a while, you just only as good as your character. He became a mega babyface when Stone Cold went out. And again, I'll go back to that. When his neck got re-injured. And he had to take a year break. This is before advanced medicine, so a year is kind of crazy too. And I felt like that did him more damage than anything. But the doctors didn't know back then. So going to Stone Cold, in his prime, we kind of were agreeing of, you got to let him go. Top 10 worker of all time. Yes, could work, could talk. Probably has moved the most merch in pro wrestling history, if not number 2. Number 3. Pretty good. And then the other guy who I'll talk to when I start talking about John Cena is doing pretty well with the merch too. That's why this program went in. But with Stone Cold, it just comes down to, all right, so after Austin 316, it was a lot of Be My Boss, which was great. A lot of Corporation, which was great. But it's the Attitude Era, and they just had them in our face all the time. Pause. Just like Roman Reigns is now. Or not now, but, up until he became Tribal Chief. So it's like, are you forcing us to like this guy? Not with Stone Cold. Stone Cold was just like the cash cow of pro wrestling at that point. So, yeah, we have to see him every Monday. Yeah, we're going to put him as a corporation, the ministry, recycle. He kind of recycled the same people, too. It's like what's going on Reigns now. I'll say that. It's like we're recycling opponents because WWE doesn't like to have a big roster. Be it that the Attitude Era is probably the biggest roster ever. Like, they've had workers from around the world. Solid workers. So they probably had their biggest roster ever at that point, but you needed something to go against WCW and their massive roster, considering that everybody's with NWO anyway. But with Stone Cold, it's like, all right, cool. We know what to expect. Beer, whooping some ass, match. That's cool. What else? Then when he became heel, which is probably my favorite moment in pro wrestling history, at WrestleMania 17, 2001, he became a heel. He was trying to act demented, hugging, Vince with the hilarious face, like his eyes getting big. But yet, it got funny. So by default, he was the baby face. And it was just funny. Then the line stuff happened. It was still funny. You know what I mean? He's supposed to be him and Kurt Angle, which was still weird. They went to WCW and side, but it's still funny. Whereas The Rock, when he started acting, so the Scorpion King started jumping off, and then from there it was they knew. Once the Scorpion King came out, I don't think it drew that much money, but when you get your first starring role after doing just one movie, yeah, bro, they knew that should be sinking. Should be sinking, boss. After he did that movie and came back as Hollywood Rock in 0203, he was getting, booed like it was back in the 90s, where he was just getting heat. He was doing babyface type stuff, singing songs, but he was burying the places like Sacramento Kings. He was burying Sacramento. I think when the Maple Leaf sucked. So it's like when he came back and did that tour, we had the all leather joint on, the little flip phone. the hair was leaving, having matches with, Hurricane Helms. He had heat, but it was still funny. It was still funny, but he had heat. So you got a guy who's been, clean babyface when he was called the Blue Chipper, to then become, Nation being he was being booed before that. Then got to the Nation, got booed. Then people was like, no, I like this guy. Then he became a babyface. Then he became a heel. And then every time he comes back, he just over. What can you do? So with Stone Cold, if you really, his prime was 97, 98 till about 2001. 02, he, matches with Sky Hall, God bless. And then it was kind of like the take your ball and go home promo from The Rock at that point. So, pretty good year. That's pretty solid year. Well, really good years of a solid run. But compared to the other three, how? Like with Cena, I mean, I don't need to take along with these two. Pause. But with Cena, we never seen anybody have a run like this ever. Even Ric Flair had to admit. Because Ric Flair had his highs and lows from the NWA to WCW. It was like, all right, he just winning, making money, which is what it's supposed to be. But with Cena, you can go from 03 to 04 until 2015, and it's like, this dude ain't stopping. Now, it's been some dead spots. I mean, between having 20 matches with Randy Orton, which were great, the Alex Riley situation, the Nexus stuff, Big Show came. So it wasn't him again. It's the bookers, because WWE likes to keep three workers in the same program, as we see with Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns in January. So it's more so you got to work with what you got. But the merch is moving. The seats were still doing good. I think they were at MetLife, the Jet Stadium, when The Rock came back and hosted it, and they had that main event. Not a good WrestleMania, but they had a main event between him and The Miz. That place looked pretty filled up. Over, super over. Probably the biggest baby face in pro wrestling history besides Hulk Hogan. And it's just like, people hated him, but you couldn't help but watch. What else do you need? And I'm not being biased because that's the GOAT, but it's right there. There's nothing really you can say about that. He can cut a promo. There was some women that liked him. Work rate, spotty. Still got the job done. Has some all-time matches. Stone Cold, of course, has some too. Right, all these people that is on this four pillar of draws, as I call it. But yeah, it's right there. I mean, now we're in the era of a guy who is in the internet era, and since the internet era started, and since he's been in the E, he's just been looked at. A Chico guy, as I call it. He's looked at. Whether you didn't like his promos earlier in his career, the way nobody ever said they didn't like the way he worked. It's the promos. Literally, that's all everybody used to say was the promos. And they'll find something. Oh, he just, they just keep putting him on the screen. Dude, because he's drawing money. Women are obsessed with this dude. Yes, give him the U.S. title, the IC title, because it's going to draw money. The merch is moving. It has been, and now it's really moving. I keep saying this dude is a three-time Hall of Famer if you really want to cut his career in half, his singles career, because that first half is Hall of Fame. This second half is legendary. Damn near iconic status, soon to be. I mean, I'm tired of storyline. I said it on last episode. A lot of people I know are tired of the storyline. But it's making money. That's what it's about. Like, as long as it's making money, that's all that's going to happen. It's going to keep being on our screens for the next probably couple of years or another year. Is the program over? I feel like it's over, but they said it ain't over. When they say it's over, it's over. So I mean, the work. I don't really need to speak on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is one of my favorite workers, probably of all time, just based on the past 3 years. Um, he's in the internet era, but he's selling hard copies of his album. That's it. The merch is moving. The promo skills have went beyond here. Something to look at again. He got Paul Heyman, which is one of the greatest minds in pro wrestling history. He got his cousins paid, which I'm all for. All three of them paid. He got Sami Zayn his greatest payday ever in the past year. Probably Kevin Owens as well. That's why one of the reasons why Kevin Owens got that massive contract. When you making others rich, Solo don't say nothing. Solo don't have matches, but he making money. I love it. This dude is the one. So, you know, you got to go by the eye test. It's not Stone Cold's fault that the career was, when it was up, it was beyond up. But when it was down, it was just like he wasn't there. So The Rock had to pick up the slack, him and Triple H and Mankind. But it's not his fault. He got a neck injury. But to still draw that much money in the WWE for 5, 6, 7 years, something like that, probably 6 years more so, it's pretty good. T-shirts are still selling, just like the NWO shirts. So it's nothing to really, really feel bad about. I'm pretty sure he feels like, man, if I had a couple more years, I could have did more. But circumstances of reality, brother. We don't really get to choose what happens to us or how it happens. We just go through it. But such is life. And it goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Not trying to be morbid, but that's just the hands we play in this thing called life. And you do your best. Real quick. So AEW, by the time this is out, AEW, I think it'll be on or it came on. All in. A lot of conversation. Shouts out to my family of Black and Now Sable. The whole conversation about numbers and this and that. Since when did pro wrestling fans care about numbers? Now, I'm not saying this to go against my guy, Cody Dre. I'm not going against nobody. I don't care because these aren't numbers in my pocket. If they were in my pocket, trust me, I'll be counting. Ain't none of these numbers false. I'm Mayweather money ain't looking funny in the light. But I understand why wrestling fans have to be enamored with numbers because there's nothing else to talk about. Unfortunately, this break conversation is going to last another week. Podcasters and people in general don't spend your time just talking about something that happened last week. And that's the problem with podcasting. I don't need to cut that shit promo. Where people want to go back and talk about everything that happened weeks ago and try to make it a 2-hour segment to fill out time. No, get creative. Be it that it's me saying get creative when I'm always being creative. I'm always doing solo episodes, but get creative. Please don't talk about that man's death for too long. Pay your respects. Keep it pushing. So the number situation actually might turn into a conversation piece, as it has in the past couple of weeks. Again, I'll just say, whatever they do, God bless. This me taking the route of I really don't care, which is true, but I have to give you some type of insight into my intellect. I think it's good for business when you make numbers. Well, damn, what a concept. Even if so, they're projected to make, I think, 81,000 seats, which Wembley can hold or something. Shouts out to Queen, the guy Freddie Mercury performed there. My favorite live album of all time besides Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock. It's just whatever numbers they do, if I'm the workers, what am I getting paid? Especially if I'm one of the executives like Matt, Nick Jackson, the Bucksy Youth, whoever, Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega. Fucking match. What's my cash at? Where's my cash at? I got my cash app right here. Where's my cash app? Because if I'm one of the producers, all 20 producers, that gate, hey man, I need a percentage of that player. That Bleacher Report, yeah, them streams, the people that's actually, streaming this, hey man, how I get a cut of that? Even though that's a whole conversation. That's why this writer strike ain't gonna never end. I told you that writer strike ain't end until like late November. When people start getting hungry, literally, kids start getting hungry, literally, it's Christmas time. Them kids want, I don't know what the fuck kids play. Whenever they want their dolls, yeah, everybody going back to work. Because that's one thing about people with money. They gonna want some more money. Me, you, whoever listening, blue collar people, we want some money because we ain't got no money. But the people with money, especially a whole heap of money, want some more money. So when people start getting hungry, that's when they're gonna be like, yeah, I was tripping, boss. I had to go back. I get my coffee. That's not even me trying to, sound like my people as they do these racial epithets of us sounding like they're like, sorry, like the Stephen Fetcher shit. I'm talking about the white people. I don't want to do the typical white voice, but yeah, they're gonna be sounding like that. I have to go to Starbucks. Yeah, yeah. So they're gonna get hungry. Again, if I'm the workers, hey man, I need my percentage. Cash me out, bro. I took a flight over here. Of course, everything is getting paid for. I took a flight over here for a pay-per-view. Need that bonus. Like, all that, yeah, cool. I need my money. So I need my extra. I'll say that. So whatever the numbers that what happened is good for pro wrestling in general. I'll say for the fans, man, just enjoy it, dude. We're living in the new golden age of pro wrestling. I'll say the past 2 years, since slowly but surely crowds been coming back, we're living in the golden age. WWE's doing in the past 3 years, they made the greatest revenue they've made in history. WrestleMania was the highest gate ever in WrestleMania history. Like, they doing numbers. Again, going back to that Roman Reigns guy, yeah, he shows up every now and then. But when he shows up, people show out. You can do that when you popping. So, same thing with AEW. Everybody's in their golden age. You can so many choices. I say this often. They're getting their money. Shouts out to Tony Khan. Whether Ed shows up or not, that's a whole different conversation. If he does, that's cool. Again, somebody said earlier, when you got kids, you will do damn near anything. And apparently anything means anything. Now, the podcast I was listening to was a wrestling podcast, so they wasn't talking about the anything. But I'm pretty sure if you have kids, it's like, yeah, I'm going to have to jump on these thumbtacks. Like Chris Jericho. Apparently he's making $3 million a year, so yeah. People like, this is going to tarnish his legacy. No, fuck no. Oh, he's been in the business 30 years. He's a future Hall of Famer. So what? When you got kids, man, I don't have kids. I don't want kids. When you got kids, bro, I'm pretty sure you just like, hey, man, this how I feed my kids. I got to do work. Whether I got to be a clown show or what, got to do work. Chris Jericho got 3 kids. The Jacksons, the Bucks of Youth, they got kids. People got kids, man. They going to work. If you don't have kids, you don't have to work. It's just on you the fucking starve. Not nobody else. When you got kids, bro, they can't starve, but you will. So, hey, man, hope everybody eats. Hope everybody does well. That's where I'm going with it. Hey, give me some of that paper. Fuck that. I'll jump on a thumbtack right now for $3 million. I can put my foot on a thumbtack for $3 million. Fuck it, we gonna be all right. So, that's it. I think by the time I record next week, that'll be week 1, if I'm not mistaken, for NFL. So I'll probably come back and talk about that. Talk about how I'm about to get off the narcotic of America's team, the Cowboys. It's probably my last season because I see the writing on the wall. Not gonna get my hopes up. Raider Nation, we ride. Fucking Raiders, Holmes. Going with the Raiders, man. It's my last season. I can't do this. This is a young man's game. Can't do this. Can't do this no more, Cowboys. Shady, you guys dropped the dime. So, but no, man. As usual, thank y'all for being here. Yeah, I'll be in the studio soon. I keep saying soon, but hey, unless you're going to give me some money to get in the studio, I'll be in there soon. This shit costs out of my own pocket. I got other stuff to pay for. I got bigger bigger fish to fry. I'm talking bigger things than you and I. Kids are losing lives, got me think I'm losing mine. And if I write about it, whatever Drake said in 30 for 30 freestyle, which is one of my favorite songs ever, but I forgot the rest of it. Anyhow, thank y'all as usual. Pardon the Banks. I am your host. This is Banks at the Man Called Banks on social media platforms. We don't have a Patreon no more. I might bring that back. Yeah, when I get right, I'm bringing back the Patreon. I don't care. Thank y'all as usual for being here. Until next time, guess what?
Some of them going to sleep for good.